Welcome to yet another Creaky Bloody Gamers production. Somebody stop them.
G'day viewers. If you haven't seen it, there's a Ornament Pack released by Games Workshop for Throne of Skulls, which is on in February. So they've released this pretty early, but I think it might be a good indication of what they're thinking, where they might be going with maybe a tournament pack, or maybe an FAQ update, or maybe some clarifications, maybe a few rules tweaks or something. I'm trying not to be too critical because I think the game's pretty good. I like the charging. I like fall back in good order, give ground and everything. There's a lot of good things about the game at the moment, which is an improvement over previous editions. It's a newish game with good bits from other old versions. Anyway, this is the Throne of Skulls army restrictions, and this is aimed particularly just at characters, I think. You cannot spend more than 25% of your army's total on a single character. So look at how that restricts some characters, and they've tried to restrict like multiple level 4s, which is good. We won't have double, necromancers on mortis engines and that sort of thing. It might restrict that a bit, but I don't think that's the main problem. But it does help, right? So these restrictions, it doesn't go as far as I would have gone. I would have just gone back to like 25 or 33% on characters or something. But anyway, it's a good start, right? It just restricts the big unkillable dragons, which, the Bretonians, I've got the picture of the Bretonian there for a reason. They've they're laughing because they've dodged all these restrictions, really. So 25% on a single character, just, it affects maybe just the Chaos Dragon, High Elf Dragon. It affects dragons, really. That's about all. We'll have a look at some of the things it affects. And so you get 500 points for your dragon at 2,000 points, which is enough. You can still have a pretty strong dragon, just that you don't have the multiple saves. You can build it defensively. I mean, the Chaos Dragon is pretty tough anyway, so he can just sling in a great weapon, and he's still a pretty good piece to have on the table, just that you can't just throw him in wherever you want. And like at lower points, it scales well, because at 1,500 points, you can only have 375 points on whatever you want to bring, okay? Which just stops dragons at lower points games. You don't be turned up to a 1,000-point game and someone brings half their army as the dragon or something. But so I think that's a good idea. All right, so that's just my bias. I'd rather see more infantry. I think we all would rather see more infantry on the table. 2,500 points, then you can bring your big dragon. So there's pretty much no restrictions there. So that means that, the dragons should only be coming out at bigger points games. Yeah, so you can take whatever you want at 2,500. So that might mean that we have more 2,500 point events and so on. And let's look at the magic there. You've got 0 to 1 level 3 wizard per 1,000 points, and you can only take 1 level 4 per 2,000. So at lower point games, you can't take a level 4. So that's good. That's a good idea. But Bretonians are not affected by this at all. So I would suggest that we may have to have a look at some other things, which I'll have at the end of the video here. Some suggestions that I have, and we all have good ideas. But this is a good start. I think just restricting that so at lower points games, you don't turn up and face the unkillable dragon. So we'll see what I've got. I've got a prince here, so I'll just bring up a high elf prince. I think, high elf prince. And it's 492 points, and he's still got Talisman of Protection, Seed of Rebirth, so it's Dragon Helm, so he's a defensive dragon. So he's still got all that defense. I still think that's still too good at 492 points. It's got a ward save and a regen save and a 2-up save, and it's 492 points. And the dragon's still weapon skill 7, 6 attacks, D6 plus 1 stomps or something, so it's still this is at 2,000 points, right? Where you're restricted to 500 points. So it's still a pretty good dragon. It's got the double save, 4 up armor, and then shield and dragon helm. So 2 up armor save. So it's sort of like an unkillable dragon and dishes out a lot of damage. So the high elf dragon there hasn't really been affected at all, really. I haven't even taken any. Pure of Heart is free, I think. So that dragon not really affected at 2,000 points. So you'll still see pretty tough high elf dragons. Here's a Chaos Lord at 2,000 points. So I've spent 496, I think it is on there. And he's still got his Chaos Armor 5 up ward save, shield, full plate armor. So he's got a 3 up armor save. He's got Gaze of the Gods still. Stomp attacks, Swift Stride, Terror. He's got his 2 breath weapons, which they never use. They just go in and kill things. It's still a pretty tough dragon. 5 up ward. It hasn't got the double save of the high elf one, but he can, with the Gaze of the Gods, there's probably, what am I giving him? A great weapon, right? So he's got a great weapon, or he could use his initiative and use his ensorcelled hand weapon. So he's got magic weapon if he needs it. So he is restricted a little bit. He's not unkillable, so you can't put like the mark of Nurgle on him and this and that and so on, and it ends up about 620 odd points or something. So he has been affected a little bit. All right, then another one is a vampire count on a vampire count on a Coven throne. Okay, so this is on the throne. So she's got the handmaids and everything, and the throne is really expensive compared to a chariot, but 494 points. Talisman of Protection, and the vampire count, she comes with regen as well anyway. So you can still have that. Not that people they probably run the Mortis engine and so on, but that's one thing I was thinking about. I do have one painted up and rebased, ready to go. So a Coven throne, 494 points. It's not really affected. You could probably add a few more things if you had more points, but you could still run that. That's a pretty tough piece. There are better pieces in the vampire counts list, the Mortis engine and so on, but you're restricted to one of those, not doubling up at 2,000 points. So vampire count on a Coven throne squeezes in under 500. And this is a little bit of a silly one. This is a Goblin Odd Knob on a Ragnarok Spider. Can't quite get in under 500 points. 505 points. This is with the Talisman of Protection. So he probably needs some item. So I'd have to drop the Talisman of Protection. So he'd be on the Spider with no protection really. He's a level 4. And so I think that's just a problem with the Spider. The Spider is way too expensive. It's not a dragon. He ends up being 10 wounds. I've got one in a box ready to assemble, but I keep trying to fit one into a list, and now without a Talisman of Protection, I wouldn't take one because they're just going to get shot off the table probably. Anyway, that's a casualty. The Goblin Odd Knob on the Ragnarok. He's going to stay in the box unassembled until I can come up with an idea, but maybe he might need a little points adjustment. I think he's definitely probably, I reckon he'd be good, but he's not dragon quality. So there's an unfortunate casualty of the 25% probably. All right, so what do you reckon? Do you reckon I think they're on the right track. They've hit the big nasty characters. But there's a few other things that they need to address. Okay, so I don't want to be too critical of the rules and so on, because I think it's a good game. There's just a few things that the meta swings around and changes, etc. And we're seeing the giant poison archer blocks, etc. And the Bretonians are just over the top. So there's a few things I would change, and these are just random thoughts. I'll just go through them. The first one is pretty obvious to me, is I don't know what they were thinking about close order for everybody, the dragons, etc. It should just be a bonus for infantry in close order, all right? because close order means it's infantry, shoulder to shoulder infantry. And I looked up the definition, right? So I went to the Collins Dictionary, an arrangement of troops in compact units at close intervals and distances as for marching. So a unit would have to have mates alongside them. So I think they just put a little addendum, a little errata, just saying that close order only applies to infantry in close order formation and with more than 5 models or 5 or more models or something. They've already got something like that in there. Just take it away from everything else. Not for chariots, not for dragons, just close order. You have open order and close order. So close order infantry can get a +1 bonus in combat. I don't know what they were thinking. All right, next one. Right, so I'll try and be brief. I'll just go over my other ideas as they flash up on the screen here. So they're pretty self-explanatory, so I don't want to go on a big rant about everything. Combat bonus +1 for outnumber. So if you outnumber the enemy with your unit strength, you get a +1, right? So if there's like one guy left and a dragon outnumbers them, the dragon will get a +1. There you go, dragon fans. But usually a big block of infantry should get +1 for close order, +1 for outnumber. So it just gives them a bit more static res. This one, skirmishes, so this is aimed at peg knights. Line of sight is measured from the leader, right? And they can move all over the place, but when they want to declare a charge, you pick the line of sight from the leader. Same with skirmishing cavalry, probably, but they might get hit with that. But unit strength greater than 1, e.g., peg knights, the line of sight's measured from the leader. I think the rule of 3, everyone kind of agrees with that. I would even apply it to core units, right? You don't want spamming anything, really. So 3 is enough of anything. That's pretty much everybody uses that anyway. So we don't want spamming, 4, 5, 6 cannons and so on, gyrocopters, etc. This one here hits dragons and big characters, just ward or regen, not both. You pick your best ward or regen. So you have your armor save, and then you can have a ward save or a regen save, but not both. Everyone's sick of the triple saves and the 2-up armor saves and so on. So I think the character restrictions helps with that, but I would just, not both. Pick your best ward or regen. The horrible giant units that are taking up the whole table, let's be sensible. I think maybe 50 maximum unit size, 50 goblins with short bows, 50 skeleton archers. That's pretty hard to deal with anyway. And vortexes are unique. That's the last one then. All right, so no pillar of fire spam. If you've got 1 pillar of fire out, that's enough. You can't have any more. I think that addresses a lot of the things. There's probably things I've missed, but they're just some ideas. And I'm sure that they probably, I don't know, after that article they put out about dragons and flagellants and so on, I have no confidence in that they know what they're doing. All right, the rules are pretty good, but some of these things they let through, close order and so on. Who's in charge there? Anyway, they're just some random thoughts. I like their Throne of Skulls restrictions. I just think they need to go a little bit further, or maybe an FAQ, and we could almost have the perfect game. People will still find ways to break it, but it stops all that spamming level 4s, stops the unkillable dragons, gives infantry a little bit of a boost, stops spamming vortexes, and stops the huge giant blocks of poison archers. Well, 50's still pretty good. You can do a lot of damage with 50 poison archers, so that's a thing. That'll keep dragons in check as well. They'll have less of a save, and also we need probably, I reckon, 7 to 8 pieces of terrain. That's another one. Anyway, more terrain as well. I like games with more terrain. They have some impact on the battle. That's it. All right, so just a bit of a rant video. Let me know your thoughts below. We've all got good ideas. Let's hope they do something. This is a start. The Throne of Skulls thing is a start. I don't think it goes far enough. Let's hopefully they put out an FAQ. And there's some ideas. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
This show is awful.
Terrible.
Disgusting.
See you next week.
Of course.